Effective session planning begins with three questions. What are we improving? How will we improve it? And how will we know if the player improved? The first question, what are we improving, provides the goal of the practice or the problem that the practice intends to solve. Coaches must keep all activities focused around this theme to avoid their practices becoming strings of unrelated games and drills. In situation training, the what is always a specific situation that the player will encounter in competitive play. The second question, how will we improve it, could also be rephrased as what tools, tactics, or techniques are we giving the player to help them solve the problem or situation? Tools may be player generated, as the solutions players come up with are more likely to be retained and implemented, or provided by the coach. The final question, how will we know if the player improved, is the one that I believe least explored even among experienced coaches. Generally, coaches and players rely on subjective feedback. However, effective practices incorporate objective feedback, examples would be tracking versus standards, as well. An overview of potential feedback gathering methods can be found in the following slide. Together, these questions form a cycle of identification, generation and implementation, and evaluation. Therefore, an effective practice follows these steps. 1. Introduce the problem or situation. 2. Allow the player to explore the situation and generate a solution, if possible. 3. Help the player to develop tools, tactics, or techniques to solve the situation. 4. Allow the player to attempt to implement the tool in a progressively opening game state. 5. Evaluate whether the player was able to effectively implement the tool. The evaluation period can range from short to long term. Examples would be the end of practice to the next tournament. In step 1, the coach identifies a situation to be practiced. This can be one that the players struggle with in open play, or a prescribed situation from the coach's player development plan. They then introduce the situation and its desired outcome to the player using the situation statement. When, describe situation, incoming shot, or opponent positioning. We want to describe intent using a phase of play, attack, defend, or rally consistently. By, the how, include one or more ball control foci, direction, depth, speed, spin, height, or time. Note that the coach may not immediately give the player the solution so as to allow them to generate their own. So that, describe the intended outcome. To do this, we will technical focus, if applicable. The coach then allows the player to attempt to solve the problem in a situation-based activity. After allowing them to explore the situation, the coach asks the players to provide feedback based on the information they gathered. For example, situation. Opponent is attacking with direction from the baseline. Statement. When the opponent attacks by directing the ball away from us, we want to defend by game. Players feed a short ball and then touch the sideline. The opponent attempts to hit an offensive shot by directing the ball to the opposite side. The point is then played out. After a round or two, the coach asks, what was the most effective direction to neutralize the opponent's offensive shot? Cross court or down the line? Next, the player and the coach work together to create a tactical solution, providing the answer to, we want to blank so that blank. The coach then introduces the technical focus of the practice, providing the, to do this we will blank portion of the statement. In our example, the situation statement would read, when the opponent attacks by directing the ball away from us, we want to defend by directing the ball cross court and deep so that we are taking an easier shot, we will have more time to recover, and we are not giving the opponent a cross court shot away from us. To do this, we will learn to use the mogul contact move. Next, the coach demonstrates the mogul step contact move and shows a video of high-level players implementing it in a match. Now the coach teaches and provides blocked repetitions of the skill, oftentimes using a variation on the technical teaching progression. In our example situation, the coach introduces the mogul step contact move using shadow steps and a medicine ball. They then feed wide balls to the player, progressing from hand feeds to racket and then to open play. The coach provides targets, in this case deep and cross court, for the player and tracks the results. The players then replay the situation simulation game, attempting to incorporate the new skill or tactic. Targets are utilized for feedback, and scoring systems may be adjusted to reward players for accomplishing the goal. For example, players feed a short ball and then touch the sidelines. The opponent attempts to hit an offensive shot by directing the ball to the opposite side, and the point is played out. If the feeding player hits their defensive shot deep and cross court to the target, they receive an extra point. The defensive player should use the mogul contact move on the wide ball as practiced. Next, the players play live points as they would in a match, with serve and return. The players call out when they recognize the situation being practiced and evaluate their performance between points. The coach looks to see if the player has implemented the new technique or tactic. This portion of practice is therefore focused on reception and recognition. In our example, the players would play matches, calling out cross if they should hit cross court and line if they should hit down the line. After the point ends, the players review whether the decisions they made were effective. Finally, the coach and player continue to monitor their performance of the situation practiced. During the next competition, the player and coach evaluate whether the player was able to effectively incorporate the tactics and techniques practiced.